You know, a presidential midterm election, first midterm, is always tough on an incumbent president. They always tend to lose seats in their own party. President Obama lost the largest Democratic majority to a Republican majority in his first midterm election. So it's not something that's uncommon. I think a lot of people didn't see it coming. I think a lot of people couldn't really predict it. You know, it's very difficult to predict the Trump supporters in terms of how they vote. They tend not to be as able to be tracked by polling as some of the other supporters. So, you know, you see somebody like President Trump with 46% solid supporting him. That's not a lot, but it's a solid amount. And I think what you saw were a number of different factors coming together. One is, you know, his sort of extreme type of leadership, his extremely conservative leadership. So you saw a lot of the people who were moderate, even moderate Republicans, start to maybe move toward the Democratic column. I think some people were unhappy with maybe the last presidential election. You know, maybe people who thought Hillary Clinton was going to win and they stayed home and didn't vote, maybe they came out and voted. So there's a myriad of different things that could have influenced this, and it's great for people like us to sit around after the fact and talk about it. I think we'll be spending, you know, a number of years right up to the 2020 election talking about why this happened and what it all means for the future. It's hard to say, and only because it's hard to know what the Democrats will do with this victory, okay? And the victory in the House is what I mean. I mean, who will they choose as their leader? You know, that is a big issue. And I don't know that there'll be any difference. I think maybe, you know, Pelosi probably has the votes to continue on as Speaker. Steny Hoyer will probably be number 2. Jim Clyburn will probably be number 3. And this is not about their leadership ability or their qualities. I think to many, especially the young Democrats in the House, it's not even so much about their leadership, it's about the fact that we want change. People have said there should be change. People are not happy with the status quo in the Democratic Party. Why are we continuing with the status quo? Let's do something different. Let's take a different approach. Let's get new leadership. So I say, what does it mean? It means what the Democrats are willing to do. I mean, who are they going to put up for the president? Who ends up getting to be the Democratic nominee? You know, I think if they pick the wrong nominee, obviously, Trump is going to win this. If they pick the right nominee, the Democrats will win, and you know, there won't be much, you know, argument about it. So I don't see, you know, I think the future all depends upon what the Democratic Party does with respect to its leadership, that is, within the House, and also who their standard bearer is in the 2020 election. Potentially, you have a much better chance of things passing with the Houses, with a majority in one House of one party and majority in the other party, because you're not going to have everyone automatically just saying no. So if a bill comes out of the House that the Senate is also interested in, they're not just going to block it simply because, you know, it's out of, you know, the House. I mean, they're going to take a look at it. They're going to maybe make some changes to it. Maybe they'll just reject it and send their own bill. Maybe they'll create a compromise committee and, you know, create a compromise bill. So I think you have real potential when there's two houses such as this to get, especially with respect to budget bills, because budget bills, again, are based upon priorities. And I think we can see some, you know, we saw some of the best budget bills. We saw the only balanced budget under Bill Clinton when he had a Republican Senate and a Republican House. Because when sides decide that they can work together, we usually get pretty good compromise bills. Again, that remains to be seen whether or not we'll be able to get to that point. We may see some headbutting, you know, we may see some things coming out of the Democratic House initially, which have no chance, which are dead on arrival in the Senate. You know, parties have to do that sometimes to make their base, to please their base, all right? The important thing about the fact that the Democrats have the House is now they control the agenda of the bills that come up. That's what a lot of people don't understand, what the majority means. It's not just about getting the chairmanships. It's about also controlling the agenda. That is, what bills are going to be voted on. I mean, you're not going to see 17 bills coming through the House, you know, to change healthcare, unless it's what the Democrats want. You know, I mean, we saw that under the Republicans. They were dead on arrival in the Senate, but they kept passing all of these bills to, you know, do away with the Affordable Care Act. They'll pass a few of those bills that are dead on arrival in the Senate simply to keep their base happy. But hopefully they'll start to work on some bills, a good transportation bill. You know, we always need transportation, and you know, it's the best thing in the world for the economy. It puts people to work, and we haven't had a really good transportation bill, in my opinion, in 15, 20 years. When you have one house, when you have either the Democrats or the Republicans controlling both houses, obviously the bills come through. I mean, they're going to find compatibility. But when you have two houses, I think it's the best of American government. It's the best of our political system because it requires compromise between the two houses, and it requires bills that come together that are compromise bills that are very good. So, you know, maybe I'm being optimistic. I don't know that it's easier or better, but I think it will create better bills for all the American people, not just the conservatives, not just the liberals. But when you have two houses, if both houses are committed to getting budget bills and the president is committed to, you know, coming forward with real leadership, with ideas and plans on how to go forward, we'll see some very good budgets. I think one of the things that will be interesting, and I have not heard anything about it, is to see what committee Mr. Brindisi chooses, or what committees he chooses, because I think that'll tell us a lot about, you know, how he hopes to go forward and what he hopes to bring back. You know, he tends to be strong on education. Will he go into the education, which is always great for us? Will he go into the transportation committee? Will he go into something totally different? So I'm looking forward to seeing what his choice is and what committees he ends up getting.